All right, as we get set on YouTube, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to all our viewers. Hope you have a great Shabbat. As we will get started, let me, yeah. All right, so let me get set. Different camera today as my camera crashed on me. So I have to go backwards to the old camera, looking so much fuzzier, but better than nothing. All right. So I want to say welcome once again to all those who will be partaking in this, whether you're here with us on Zoom or you'll be watching on YouTube or watching after. Now we have had, I think about 170 videos we have on our channel so far. And this is the first one we are dealing with giving. And it's no coincidence because it is, how should I say? Giving has been used by those in religion to actually exploit people and their generosity. And we know that the Christian religion has been built on this form of exploitation to the point where people are actually it's like they're digging out money from people. So we coming into the knowledge, we feel as if we must distance ourselves from that. But it is actually at the expense of getting people to understand what it really means to give. And so we have come upon first fruits, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is first fruits. And so it is the opportune time to speak about giving because we want to understand first fruits and we also want to understand giving once and for all. So the problem with giving is that when we come into the truth and we realize that we had been exploited in Christianity, most of us contract our giving. And we used to give liberally in Christianity because many of us had in the back of our minds that we would be getting something in return. Now, when we come into the way and we realize that we don't give in order to receive, it is less attractive to give. So this is where love comes in. When you're in the way, giving is love, and giving manifests the state of your heart. And because it manifests the state of your heart, only those who truly love will enter the kingdom. It is a direct manifestation. Giving in the way is a direct manifestation of our readiness for the kingdom. If we are free, liberal givers, then we know that our spirit is free, our rock is free and not chained down by self. If we are stingy, if we are tight, it shows that we are not liberal and that we have not denied self. Because those who have denied self will be those who will give liberally because they don't really care much for the things of self. They care more, or they are happier, making the Most High happy and making others happy. Whereas the person who withholds is person who seeks to make themselves more comfortable. All right? So here at Just a Word, too, we are very touchy when it comes to this topic. We don't want to be labeled with the rest, which is why you won't see us asking for donations on our website. But it's not that we don't take donations, because if people are moved, then we believe they will make an effort to contact us, and then we give them information as to how they can contribute. But we don't want to be seen like those in religion, all right, exploiting people. Because in the end of this, we will see that people use wicked devices, and we'll see the result of how the Most High deals with it, all right? All right, so we're going to begin because this is entitled The Giving in the New Testament. So it's speaking about New Testament giving. And there is a constant with giving, and it's that giving to the poor is constant across both covenants. Giving to the poor is a given. We'll start at Psalms 42:1. It is a given. So no matter what covenant you're in, it is a given that you will help the poor. Psalm 42:1. Are you there, Brother Mahar?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Psalms 42, verse 1.
Yeah.
The chief musician, Mashiach, for the sons of Korah, as the hart panteth after the water brooks. So
No. Just verse 1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the wrong. No, it's the wrong verse. Wow. This is Psalm 42:1. Oh.
Yeah,
all right, let me go to
42:1 in the bottom.
Yeah, well, it's the wrong one. Let's start off with the wrong one. Can you imagine? Proverbs 22:9, then let's go there. Proverbs 22:9. Yeah, go ahead.
He that hath a bountiful eye shall be Baruch, for he giveth of his bread to the poor.
All right, he that hath a bountiful eye, that means an eye that is liberal, an eye to give freely. All right? We Most High will barak us for actually having a bountiful eye. But we're saying it's a given that no matter what covenant we're in, and in the book of Job 31, Job took us along a path of giving. Let's go, Job 31:16. Yeah, go ahead, please.
If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or caused the eyes of the widow to fail.
This is the walk of a righteous man. All right? Cannot withhold from the poor their desire, or cause the eyes of a widow to fail. Go ahead, 17.
Or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless had not eaten thereof.
Yeah.
For from my youth he was brought up with me, as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering.
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay. If his loins have not baruch me, and if he were not worn with the flea of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and mine arm be broken from the bone.
All right. So this is a righteous man here. This is the walk of a righteous man. No matter what covenant you're in, we cannot see the fatherless, the widow, and the poor, and we are in a position to help, and we do not help. That's the whole bottom line. Verse 23.
For destruction from Alua was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness, I could not endure.
In other words, if he does any one of these things, then destruction can come from the Most High. It'll make the Most High angry when we do these things. So whether you're in the old covenant or the new covenant, nothing has changed. Continue.
If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence.
All right. So putting confidence in riches, that's another problem. 25.
If I rejoice because my wealth was great, and because my hand had gotten much. If I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking on brightness, and my heart had been secretly enticed, or my mouth had kissed my hand. These also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied a law that is above. If I rejoice in the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found me, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If the men of my tabernacle said not, oh, that we had of his flesh, or cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my door to the traveler.
All right. So that's it of dealing with the poor, the widows, the fatherless, and the stranger. And the last verse here shows us a tradition back in those days that we do not have. Babylon has taught we don't have this tradition any at all. To have strangers open our doors to strangers. None at all. But this is what these people had. And this is what we saw Lot did. And we hear Job here coming and saying the same. So that was from the Old Testament. So let's go to the New Testament. Matthew 19:21. Matthew 19:21. Read, please.
Yahushua said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasures in heaven, and come and follow me.
This was the rich young man who said he wanted to, was asking, what did he lack? Because he obeyed the commandments, but the Messiah was telling him, if you will be perfect, yes, go and sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. Because when you give to the poor, you have an account in heaven that's been kept for you, stored up till the last days. So we are giving now to the poor, and we are seeing ourselves short of whichever amount of money we gave to the poor. We might think of it that way, but to the Most High, you are increasing your account in the heavenly realm. And that account, of course, is to be cashed upon the return of the Messiah, or when you are to be judged of the Father. Yeah? So, as we said, giving to the poor, nothing new. Galatians 2:9-10. Read, please.
And when James, Cephas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas and the right hand of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcision.
All right. So this was when Shaul met Jacob, Kepha, and Yochanan, James, Peter, and John, and they gave him the right hand of fellowship. But there was one thing that they told him, you must be careful that he does. Verse 10.
Only they would that we should remember the poor, the same which I also was forward to do.
So we must always and can never, ever forget the poor. The poor belong to Yahuwah. His affection is with the poor. If the poor cry out to him against you, then you are in trouble. The word says he hears the cries of the poor quickly. Okay? So just want to start out with that. Let's just start out the show. What we had, just want to start out to say that the giving to the poor is a constant. So that is not what we're talking about today. We're talking about a more intricate thing, giving, like from the Old Testament and how it is now manifest in the New Testament. And we'll also include tithing as well as to how tithing is treated. All right. So to solve anything in the New Testament, we first have to go to the law. We must speak according to the law, because Isaiah 8:20 says,
to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
So if we are speaking in the New Testament, because we must know that the New Testament was not scripture. The New Testament are writings of different people and people giving accounts. And if we are not judging the New Testament based on the law, because the New Testament is the manifestation of the writings, the law, and the prophets, if we are not speaking according to the law, then it means there is no light in us and we are not coming from a sound place. So to speak about giving, we have to go to the law. And we have to go to look at the offerings that are in the law in order to, where is this? Oh,
I think it's already on the screen.
Huh?
We're looking for it.
Okay, it's something that I had put on it.
Oh.
Okay, I see it. All right. So 5 main types of offerings in the law. The first one we're going to look at is burnt offering. Burnt offering. The first offering is the olah, literally an offering of assent, commonly called the burnt offering. The purpose of the burnt offering was for general atonement of sin and expression of devotion to Allah. What we're going to see, the different offerings will determine the type of offering that we give in the New Testament. And we're going to see what I mean later. So, burnt offering was for atonement of sin. It's very important to know which ones are for the atonement of sin, because we now have a great high priest, Yahushua HaMashiach, who has atoned for our sin. So the sins that the offerings that are for the atonement of sins, we no longer have to offer them. So that is why we have to segment them. So the burnt offering was for general atonement of sin and expression of devotion to Allah. The second offering was grain offering. The grain offering, the second type of offering in the Old Testament is the mincha, or grain offering. The purpose of the grain offering was a voluntary expression of devotion to the Most High, recognizing His goodness and providence. Now, that does not have anything to do with sin. Okay? So the Messiah does not cover that. Unlike the whole burnt offering, only a portion of the offering was to be burnt. The remainder went to the priests for their meal. The mincha was instructed to be a free will offering of grains. And bear that free will offering in mind as we go, because we're looking at giving in the New Testament from a deeper perspective today. Third main type of offering was the peace offering. Now, this is a very broad offering because it encompasses about 3 other types of offerings. The third offering is the shalom, or it should be shalom, or peace offering. This category, first discussed in Leviticus 3, included thanksgiving offerings, free will offerings, and wave offerings. So none of these offerings have to do with sin offering. The offering would be cattle, sheep, or a goat. It could be male or female, but must be without defect. So all of these offerings that have nothing to do with sin are the types of offerings that we give in the New Testament. Free will offering, thanksgiving offering, wave offering. So it must be without defect. So that is why when we're giving, we have to give of our best in the New Testament. If it was a thanksgiving offering, it could also include a variety of breads. The purpose of the peace offering was to consecrate a meal between two or more parties before Alua and share that meal together in fellowship of peace and commitment to each other's future prosperity. Now, what does that remind us of? Sharing a meal together in fellowship of peace. This was the New Testament when they had breaking of bread and from house to house. These were peace offerings. And we're going to read about it in the book of Acts when it says they were all together in one accord. All right? So the people believe, some people believe that the New Testament is just so arbitrary and different. It's the continuation of the Old Testament. That's what it is. And when you read these things, you get to understand why we do things in the New Testament. Depending on the type of peace offering, the breast may have been given to the high priest and the right thigh may be given to the priest officiating the meal. The rest of the meal was to be eaten within 1 day by the fellowship of parties, and the leftovers were to be burnt after 2 days. All right. Then we have the sin offering. This is the offering that the Messiah covered. One of the offerings that he covered. The fourth offering was called kata, literally sin or sin offering. This offering is sometimes seen as offering of atonement for unintentional sin. Remember, we did a video earlier. There's no sacrifice for willful sins. This sacrifice is for unintentional sin. And this is where we get 1 John 2 from. I beseech you, brethren, that ye sin not, no willful sin. And if any man sin unintentionally, you have an advocate, Yahushua HaMashiach, the righteous. This is where it comes from. His sin offering is for unintentional sin. All right. Similarly, it is sometimes viewed as guilt offering, removing the consequences for lack of perfection. As an atonement offering, it contained elements of a burnt offering, yet at the same time had elements of a peace offering. Conversely, some of the sins for which one needed atonement were not moral sins, but rather matters of ritual impurity. As such, some have proposed the term purification offering instead of sin offering. The primary purpose of this offering is not to atone for sins, but rather to purify oneself for re-entering the presence of the Most High. The elements of a purification offering could be any of the elements of the previous 3 types of offering. Though unlike the peace offerings, the meal was not to be shared by the one offering the sacrifice. So that is sin offering. Then we have what we mentioned a while ago, guilt offering. The fifth and final offering was the Asham, traditionally translated guilt offering. Unlike the English word guilt, this does not refer to a matter of one's conscience, but rather to something one owes on account of a sin. Other suggestions for the name of this offering are the trespass offering or the reparation offering. The purpose of this offering was to make reparation for one's sin. As such, this offering had a specific monetary value, and one who owed another on account of a debt due to a sin should repay it in silver as well as by sacrificing a ram. In addition, a 20% fee was assessed and given to the priest who mitigated the debt. So this guilt offering here is covered by the Messiah. Okay? So a summary of the 5 main types of offerings in the law: burnt offerings, atonement of sin, which is covered by the Messiah, but also used for expression of devotion to the Most High. So the burnt offering has dual purposes. The grain offering is voluntary expression of devotion to the Most High. Then we have peace offering, which include thanksgiving offerings, free will offerings, and wave offerings. These also are not sin offerings, voluntary. Then we have sin offering, which is atonement for unintentional sin, and guilt offering to make reparations for one sin. So we have part of the burnt offering covered by the Messiah, sin offering covered by the Messiah, guilt offering covered by the Messiah. So you have peace offering, grain offering, and burnt offerings as devotions to the Most High, which will carry over into the New Testament, but will not literally be burnt offerings, but will be actual spiritual sacrifices. Okay, so we were told in the Torah that we must not come before the Most High empty, especially around this time, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Deuteronomy 16 to 17. Could you read, please, bro?
3 times in a year shall all thy male appear before Yahuwah thy Elohim, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahuwah empty. Every man shall give.
All right, so they shall not appear before the Most High empty, and we're going to see what it means not to appear before the Most High empty. Verse 17.
Every man shall give as he is able, according to the Baruch of Yahuwah thy Elohim, which he had given thee.
So every man is to give freely as he is able. So in this, the feast of unleavened bread, every man should give freely as he is able. So these are no sin offering or guilt offerings that for sin. These are free will offering, peace offerings, as every man is able. Sirach 35, 4 to 12. Sirach 35, 4 to 12. Go ahead, please.
Thou shalt not appear empty before Yahuwah, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. The offering of the righteous maketh an altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High. The sacrifice of a just man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof shall never be forgotten.
All right, so when you make a sacrificial free offering unto the Most High, it says it is acceptable, and the memory will not be forgotten. Verse 8.
Give Yahuwah his honor with a good eye, and diminish not the first fruit of thine hand.
Give Yahuwah his honor with a good eye. What it means to give it a good eye?
Give willingly.
Willingly, with a good heart. Happy to be able to give Yahuwah his honor. And diminish not the first fruits of thine hand. Do not refuse to give the first fruits from your hand. Verse 9.
In all thy gifts, show a cheerful countenance, and dedicate thy tithes with gladness.
Show all thy gifts with a cheerful countenance. We're going to look at tithes as well soon. Verse 10.
Give unto the Most High according as he hath enriched thee, and as thou hast gotten gift with the cheerful eye.
All right, so these are encouragement on how to give. Give unto the Most High. 11.
For Yahuwah recompenseth and will give thee 7 times as much.
Verse 12.
Do not think to corrupt with gift, for such he will not receive, and trust not to unrighteous sacrifice. For Yahuwah is just, and with him is no respect of person.
All right, bro. What does it? What do you think it means? Do not think to corrupt with gifts.
You don't even to accept a certain kind of gift also, that they may blind your eyes from doing and saying that which is right.
Yeah, this is more about giving. Do not think to corrupt with gifts. This is for those people who give with what should I say now? They don't give to give. They give to receive.
Oh.
Yeah.
They give with a malicious intent.
Yes. So when we go and we say sow a seed because you want a car, so just sow a seed and you'll get the car. These are things like those. To corrupt with gifts. It says, for such he will not receive. So in the book of 2 Thessalonians, he said he will give you a strong delusion if you do not want to believe the truth, but want to believe the lies. Because when people sow these seeds, a lot of time it works. And they celebrate and say the Most High has barak them. But they do not know that he has not received it and he has given them a strong delusion. Many times that is the case. Such he will not receive. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the part I was going to ask you about. Do not think to corrupt with gifts, for such will not receive. So we are saying that sometimes it works.
Yeah, sometimes he allows it to work, to give them a strong delusion, because they just after materialism say, hey, you don't want to hear the truth? Materialism is what you want. All right, go and take it.
Okay.
Yeah, strong delusion. All right, and then after that happens, now they start going after something else and something else. That's all that's on their minds. And it says, and trust not to unrighteous sacrifices. For Yahuwah is judge, and with him is no respect of persons. Okay. Yeah. So that was from the Old Testament. So we have to bridge the Old Testament now with the New Testament, because we just read about the Old Testament offerings and that were offered in the temple. Now we have to go to these 2 sets of verses that we should be getting tired of, but we should now know it by heart, which is now the temple in the new covenant is now our bodies, the new covenant temple. So when you see the offerings in the temple, for example, the sin offerings, etc., there is now no physical temple. So our bodies are now the temples of the Most High. Let's see the new covenant temple. Read, please, bro.
What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you, which ye have of Allure, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore, esteem Allure in your body, and in your Ruach, which are Allures.
Okay. Know ye not that your body is the temple of Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you? So our bodies are now the temple of the Most High. No physical temple. Body is the temple. So all the offerings that we have to give from our bodies. 1 Corinthians 3:16-17.
Know ye not that ye are the temple of Allure, and that the Ruach of Allah dwelleth in you. If any man defile the temple of Allah, him shall Allah destroy. For the temple of Allah is holy, which temple ye are.
All right, that's it. Body is the temple of the Most High. And if we defile the temple, the Most High will destroy us. So we have the temple. Now, who serves in the temple? The high priest. So our bodies are now the temples of the Most High. Now, where is the New Covenant or New Testament high priest? Hebrews 4:14 to 16. Hebrews 4:14 to 16. Yeah, go ahead.
Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Yahushua, the son of Allah, let us hold fast our profession.
Now, who is the great high priest? Yahusha. And notice he says that is passed into the heavens. So we don't have a physical temple on earth apart from our bodies. And we don't have a priest in the temple except Yahushua Mashiach. So that is why we are given the gift of Ruach HaKadosh, what they call the Holy Spirit, to dwell in us. So in our temple, the high priest, which is the Ruach Mashiach, the Spirit of Messiah, that dwells in us, we have the high priest in us, and we are carrying around the temple with us. Continue to the next one, please.
For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all point tempted like as we are, yet without sin.
Mm-hmm.
Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need.
That is our high priest, great high priest. Confirmation, Hebrews 7:15. Read, please.
And it is yet for more evidence, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there ariseth another priest, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life.
All right, Melchizedek was not of the Levitical priesthood. So too is Mashiach, not of the Levitical priesthood, because his father was from Judah, although his mother was a Levite. But his father's lineage is from Judah. So for him to be a high priest, he would have to be a high priest after the order of Melchizedek, which is not connected to the Levitical priesthood. Continue.
For he testified, thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandment going before, for the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did by the which we draw nigh unto Allah.
All right, so Shaul was speaking here of of where the law lacked. The law could not make you perfect. The law could show you right from wrong, it show you what sin is, but it was lacking in that it could not make you perfect. Now we are made perfect by the law, obeying the law through faith in the Messiah. So it is the Messiah that completes the law and makes it perfect. Makes the law, how should I say it? It is Messiah that fills up what is lacking in the law. Okay? Because the law is perfect in that it is perfect in showing us what sin is. But to overcome sin, the law makes no such provision. So you are there with the law, If the law is all you keep, you are on your own because you have no provision to overcome the sin that the law shows us. Continue.
And inasmuch as not without an oath he was made priest. For those priests were made without an oath, but this with an oath by him that said unto him, Jehovah swear and will not repent, thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek.
All right, so I think this was prophesied by David. Continue.
By so much was Yahusha made a surety of a better testament. And they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death. But this man, because he continued ever, had an unchangeable priesthood.
All right, so he's our high priest forever. Unchangeable priesthood, 25.
Wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto allure by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them.
All right, and so this is where we get 1 John 2:1 that I mentioned before. Let me ever liveth to make intercession for them. Read, please.
My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Yahushua Mashiach the righteous.
All right, he ever liveth to be an advocate, to make intercession for them. Continue, 26.
For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens.
Continue.
Who needed not daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifice, first for his own sins, and then for the people's. For this he did once, when he offered up himself.
All right, so that's why we say in the offerings in the Old Testament, the ones that have to do with sin, that's the ones that the Most High, that the Messiah covered. The sin offering and the guilt offering. Verse 28.
For the law maketh men high priests, which have infirmity. But the word of the oath, which was since the law, maketh the Son, who is consecrated forevermore.
All right. So Yahushua Mashiach covers the offerings for atonement. Hebrews 10:1-18. Read, please.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the corner thereunto perfect. The comers thereunto perfect.
All right, so those offerings that we spoke about earlier, it says from year to year they make that offering, it cannot make them perfect. So that's where it was lacking. Verse 2.
For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshipper once purged should have had no more conscience of sin.
All right, continue.
But in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sin every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins.
All right, so they couldn't take away sins. They were more or less payment for sins. Payment. And that is the payment that the Messiah made, the payment for sins. Continue.
Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he said, Sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. In burnt offering and sacrifices for sin thou hast had no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, to do thy will, O Allure.
I can't help you. go for anyway. Yeah, go ahead.
Above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings, an offering for sin, thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
Mm-hmm.
Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O Lord. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahushua Mashiach once for all.
All right, so this sin, that offering of the Messiah, we cannot think, as we were saying earlier, that the Messiah paid for sin offerings or guilt offerings. And it does not mean it cuts off all the other offerings, but that all the other offerings are manifested differently today, because our bodies are now the temple and we don't have the physical temple and the physical high priest. So the Messiah's offering is for sin. We have to really emphasize that. It's for sin. Verse 12.
But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sin forever, sat down on the right hand of our Lord.
All right. One sacrifice for sins. It's very important that we get this, that his sacrifice was for sins. Yes? When it comes to giving and the offerings that were under the law. Continue.
From henceforth, expecting till his enemies be made his footstool.
Mm-hmm.
For by one offering he had perfected forever them that are sanctified. Whereof the Ruach HaKodesh also is a witness to us, for after that he had said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith Yahuwah. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them. And their sins and iniquities will remember no more. Now where remissions of these is, there is no more offering for sin.
There is what?
No more offerings for sin.
No more offering for sin. But there are offerings for other things, thanksgiving, etc. Free will offerings, etc. The Messiah does not cover those. Just the offerings for sin. Okay. So with the new covenant, we are now able to make spiritual as well as physical offerings. Romans 12:1. Read, please.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Allah, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Allah, which is your reasonable service.
So here the sacrifice is now in the New Testament. Your bodies are living sacrifice. And that your bodies are living sacrifice means every move you make, every step you take 24/7, you have to be a living sacrifice. You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself in different situations, under different conditions. You have to be willing to give up of self. And that is what the Messiah calls denying self 24/7. Spiritual sacrifices, as well as physical offerings as well. Hebrews 13, verse 12 to 16.
Wherefore, Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. For here have we no continuing city, but we see one to come.
So this should be us today. Yes? Suffered outside the gate. Let us therefore go Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. So going out into the world, going outside the camp into the world, bearing his reproach. So we are followers of the Messiah, disciples of the Messiah, living like the Messiah, bearing the reproach of the Messiah. As he said, you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. So when you go outside, it's to bear his reproach. And people are going to dislike you. People are not going to feel comfortable around you. They're going to feel disgusted by you. When you go around them, they're going to feel uncomfortable if you are to live like the Messiah. Because we have to have the belief that we have no continuing city. For here have we no continuing city, but we seek one to come. So we should be living now, not like the present is our place of comfort, but the present is a place of discomfort because we are seeking a place of comfort. So read verse 15 now, please.
By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to our Lord continually.
All right, hold on there. Hold on there. So we offer this sacrifice of praise. This is thanksgiving offering under the old covenant. The sacrifice of praise to Allah continually. That is, continue.
That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name.
All right, so spiritual sacrifices we offer. But we also need verse 15 and 16. Verse 15 is spiritual sacrifices, and verse 16 is physical sacrifices. Read verse 16, please.
But to do good and communicate, forget not, for with such sacrifices, Allah is well pleased.
All right. Now to communicate, notice I emboldened communicate there. There are some words that are hidden in the New Testament that tells us about giving. I guess the reason he hid them and hid the understanding of them is because people would exploit the giving. Okay? Let's look at the meaning of communicate. Because most people, when you hear communicate, we would think about that communication. You speak to someone or you contact someone. But that's not what this communicate means. Meaning of communicate in this verse. It's from the Greek koinonia, which it comes from G2844, partnership, that is literally participation or social intercourse or pecuniary benefaction, to communicate, communion, contribution, distribution, fellowship. Koinonia actually refers to a pecuniary benefaction, and pecuniary means consisting of or measured in money, to or of or relating to money. So pecuniary benefaction is actually giving money. So when we go back to the verse, but to do good and to communicate, forget not. That is physical giving. Physical giving. For with such sacrifices, Allah is well pleased. All right? So now in the new covenant, we give the spiritual and physical sacrifices. And for both of them, the Most High is well pleased. All right? So as I was saying at the beginning, most of us believe that we're in this, and because we come to understanding of tithing, which we're going to look at right now, we kind of cut down of the giving. And tithing. What about tithing? What about Malachi 3, which the religious people will throw on you as soon as you speak about anything to do with tithing. Read from verse 6, please.
For I am Yahuwah, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me. And I will return unto you, said Yahuwah of hosts. For he said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob alone? Yet he hath robbed me. But he say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offering? Ye are cursed with a curse, for he have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, said Yahuwah Sabaoth, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a beruka, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
All right. So this is what they give you to say that you must tithe. But we just look at the temple that we are in the new covenant, and our bodies are the temples of the Most High. It is man that has set up his temples and collecting money for his storehouses, imitating this tithing, going into the new covenant because it serves us well, picking out tithing, setting up a building and saying you must tithe into this building. But the tithes were for the Levitical priesthood. Our bodies are now the temples of the Most High. So, are we robbing the Most High? If you give freely, if you give into the work of the Most High, then you are not robbing the Most High. If you give unto the people of the Most High, you are not robbing the Most High. If you give unto the poor saints of the Most High, you are not robbing the Most High. Because to disprove this, we could go on and on into a whole lot of scriptures, but we just need to go to the new covenant, how the new covenant assembly was organized, and we will see that there is no need for tithing. Tithing was, of course, food that was given to the Levitical priesthood to ensure that the priests could be happy, comfortable getting their food, because the Most High took care of his priests, so they did not have to, so that the entire Israel would support the priesthood. So we only have to go to the Old Testament, New Testament assembly to see that Acts 2:42.
While you're going there, bro.
Yes.
You see, what also is happening, because it is still happening, to tithe the way our religion taught us. If we continue doing it that way, we will rob ourselves also from the understanding of what the Most High is saying to us today.
Yeah.
We will not understand that when we give from our heart, that is when Yahuwah barak us, or when he give us that which we desire, which is in his will. Because we will not get the opportunity to give from our heart, because they make it be like you must do it, otherwise you rob God and these things will happen. So you have no opportunity to say, you know what? Let me listen to the voice of Yahuwah. Let me go according to my heart. They go according to what they say they must do. And therefore it bring on like a guilt on you that if you don't do it that way, something might go wrong with you. So it is very important for us to understand what the scriptures are saying to us. It should be according as he purposed in his heart. So let him give, not grudgingly. Not grudgingly. So you see, in the system, those are some areas we miss. It is on the chart, it is on the screen. Every Sunday we read it, but we still miss the part that says not grudgingly. And that is how many people give.
Okay. Thank you, bro. Acts 2. Read from 42, because we're going to see the new covenant assembly when our bodies now are the temples of Ruach HaKadosh, which lives in us, and the great high priest who lives in us. Acts 2:42.
And they continued steadfastly in the apostles, in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers.
All right. Apostles' doctrine, fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers. The peace offerings. Yeah. Verse 43.
And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles.
Yes.
And all that believed were together and had all things common. And
All right, hear this. If all that believe were together and had all things things in common means all things physically in common. All right, so what these people did, they shared everything together. Verse 45.
And sold their possessions and goods and parted them to all men as every man had need.
All right, that's what they did. Parted them to all men as every man had need. Now remember, there was no priest, there was no temple. Where does tithing have in this assembly? Continue.
And they continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart.
This is what you're talking about, the peace offerings. This is it. Breaking bread from house to house, did eat meat with gladness and singleness of heart. 47.
Praising alone and having favor with all the people. And Yahuwah added to the assembly daily such as should be saved.
No place for tithing there. Acts 4:32-35. Read, please.
And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common.
All right, so that explains what all things common means. Everything that everybody had was for everybody the same. Oh, how are you going to tithe in that? We're tithing. What part does tithing play? If everything that every one of us have together, we just have it as for everybody. Where does tithing play in that? Verse 33.
Before we go to verse 33, what just come to my mind also, let's say a set of believer make up in their mind that, you know what, we are going to flee away from the midst of this wickedness, and they take away themselves to a remote place. Who will they give to? Who will tithes goes to? If everything is going to be in one place, everything is for everyone, where would the tithes comes in?
Yep, that's it. Yeah. Was distracted there by the YouTube chat. Yeah. There's no place for tithing. Verse 34.
Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the prices of the things that were sold.
Continue.
And laid them down at the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need.
You see it? Neither was there any among them that lacked. Now, if the tithes was for the Levitical priesthood, to get the priests their provisions, and if anybody didn't lack, what would be the need for tithing? Because these people were willing, the true assembly, they're willing to sell what they have to help those who have need. That is how deep and spiritual the New Testament assembly was. So there was no intent for there to be tithing. So let's see the evidence, because remember, tithing was for the Levitical priesthood. It was for the priests coming from the nation to the priests. We're going to see in the New Testament, and Brother Mahar had mentioned it earlier. In the New Testament, giving to the saints that lacked, giving to the poor saints. Let's see if they are going to say, let us take up a tithe for the poor saints. Let's see what's going to happen. 2 Corinthians 9, starting from verse 1. Let's see. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we leave off from verse 34.
Okay.
Looking on, neither was there any among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the prices to the thing of the thing that were sold. But what we see, what we experience in the system that man made, in the church system,
yes,
we see many people are locked. They are locked in. So this is just showing up that, I mean, it is not so. It should not be so, because if the word is here saying that neither was there any among them that lacked. So if the way all they're doing it, and you still find many people lacking, something is wrong.
Yes. It shows that it is a false assembly, because their assembly is not structured primarily to benefit every member, but structured primarily to benefit the pastor. That's the difference. That's the difference. So these assemblies were structured to benefit everyone, not just the leaders. All right. So where were we again? 1 Corinthians 1, 1 Corinthians 9, I think I said.
You're second at the bottom.
It's second?
Yeah, 9, 1 to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're second at the bottom.
Yeah, it's right. It's right.
Ready?
Go ahead, please.
For as touching the ministering of the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you.
All right, so hear this now. This is for the saints. It would be similar to tithing for the Levites. Right? Let's see how it's going to be handled. Verse 2.
For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal had provoked very many. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf. In this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Lest haply is they of Macedonia come with me, and find you unprepared. We that we say not, ye would be ashamed in this same confidence, boasting. Therefore, I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you and make up beforehand your bounty. Wherefore he had noticed before that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty and not as of covetousness.
All right, bounty. We're going to look at this word as well. Important to understand. Continue.
But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully.
All right. So Shaul was speaking here of people who in Macedonia who were making contribution to the saints. And he's actually starting out by saying, if you sow sparingly, you will reap sparingly. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing with us. If we sow sparingly, we will reap sparingly. If we sow liberally, we shall also reap reap liberally. So let's see if it's going to be a tithe that they're going to pick up. Verse 7.
Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for Allah loveth a cheerful giver.
So that's it. It's a free will offering. It's what it's called. We're going to look at the meaning and free will offering. It's a free will offering. Every man has your purpose in your heart. So let him give, not grudgingly. So you don't give like for a tithe, because this not grudgingly is implying a tithe where you have 10% and you grumble. Oh, you give a man have to give 10% all the time. No, you give whatever is purpose in your heart. Not grudgingly or of necessity. That is a tithe. A tithe is necessity. 10% of your earnings you have to put aside. That is necessity. But he said, not grudgingly or of necessity, for Allah loveth a cheerful giver. You give freely as is laid in your heart. Verse 8.
And Allah is able to make all grace abound toward you, that he, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work.
All right, so that's it. The more you give, the more the Most High will give you to give. That's how it works. The more you give, the more he will give you to give, so you will never lack. So those persons who are giving, that is why people who are givers, they never stop receiving. And those people who are givers must know that there is laid up treasures in heaven for them, and a recompense will even be given them on earth. So givers never have to worry about the future. They know that even when things get rough and times get rough, the Most High is going to go into their account in the heavens and give them their reward here on earth. Verse 10.
Verse 10. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruit of your righteousness.
You see that?
Yeah.
The one who ministers seed, the one who gives you the seed to sow, he will give you your bread, and he will multiply the seed that is sown, so that the fruits of your righteousness is increased, because you are now going to sow more. And you sow more, he gives you more. And you sow more, and the process continues. Verse 11.
Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to Allah.
So when we see our people growing in prosperity, we will give thanksgiving unto the Most High, because we know it is through giving that we have been rewarded. 12.
For the administration of this service not only supplied the want of the saint, but is abundant also by many thanksgiving unto Allah.
That is the thanksgiving offering. So it serves the dual purpose of supplying to the want of the saints and also giving thanksgiving unto the Most High. And the more you give thanks, the more the Most High will reward you. Continue.
Whilst by the experiment of this ministration, they esteem Allah for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Mashiach, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men.
So this is now coming from the saints now. They will exalt Allah because you have subjected yourself unto the good news of Messiah, and for your distribution to them and the distribution unto all men. Verse 14.
And by their prayers for you, which long after you, for the exceeding grace of Allah in you.
So when they give thanks unto the Most High, they will also pray for you as well. So you get manifold barakah for this. Verse 15.
Thanks be unto Allah for his unspeakable gift.
Right. So we use the word bounty and bountifulness earlier. Meaning of bounty and bountifulness. Bountifulness from singleness that is sincerity, without dissimulation or self-seeking. So when we are giving, our giving should be one thing. Because of our love, we are giving in order to help out another person. So it is not self-seeking. So that is why when you give, you don't herald it. You don't let others know if it can be avoided. You don't give because you want people to say you're a giver. You give because you're giving out of your heart. Because the next one says, or objectly, generosity, copious bestowal. So it's you give because of your generosity, not because you want something. So you have people in the world who give and they herald what they give. You have some people on Facebook, when they give, and these people who say they are Christians, they give. And even people who say they're following the way, I have seen, they give and they show up what they have done on Facebook. And I'm saying, didn't these people read the book of Matthew when the Messiah told them the left hand must not know the right hand or something like that? But you should give and do not herald what you give. So this is bountifulness now. This bountifulness is giving and not even giving for, what should I say, for self. Yeah? So it is liberality, simplicity, singleness. And on in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, first day, we looked at this singleness of heart from the book of Testament of Issachar. All right, definition of bounty: something that is given generously. Liberality in giving, generosity. All right. So the New Testament giving are all different types of free will offerings. Nothing in compulsion, nothing of necessity, but all free will offerings. So to the law and the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Let's look at free will offerings from the book, from the Old Testament. Exodus 35, 20 to 29.
Before we go there, bro, by now we should know, as followers of the way, we supposed to know that we cannot do the same things of the world. We should be doing the opposite of the world, the opposite. So when we see, for example, the kings of this earth, they are giving things and they make it be known to the public that they are giving. Maybe a celebrity, a member of parliament, or an area leader. When it comes to a certain time of the year, their Christmas or their whatever, they put things on the ear, what they're giving back to the people, whether it's schools or whatever.
Yes.
So how is it? Because if that is the ways of the wicked, okay, they're doing their thing. When did the church adopt the very same principle?
Mm-hmm.
When did they adopt the very same principle? That is looking to me like they are no different from the world.
Yes.
The exact thing that they're doing, they are doing it too, makes them the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just so, it is very clear that we need to go back to the word to see what the word is saying and not what men are saying today. Let's not be deceived. Let's give thanks to the Most High that at this point in time, He separates us. He grabs us at this point in time so we can see all those things that we were a part of. We cannot stop giving the Most High thanks and praise.
Yep. Boy, oh boy. We have to give thanks to the word. Open our minds and our hearts to that which is right. Exodus 35:20. We are talking about free will offerings here. We're giving an example of free will offerings from in the Torah. Exodus 35:20. Read, please.
And all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, everyone whose heart stirred up, let me start over. And they came, everyone whose heart stirred him up, and everyone whom his ruach made willing. And they brought Yahuwah's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, and for all his service, and for the holy garments.
All right, free will offering. Everyone whose heart stirred him up. This is a new covenant giving. And everyone whom his ruach made willing. And they brought Yahweh's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, and all for all his service, and for the holy garments. Let me tell you one thing with free will offering. With free will offering, you will get more than that 10%. When people are told to give freely, some people are so generous, they will give almost all that they have. If you restrict a man and tell him to give 10%, that man will only give 10%. There is no conscience at work. There is no free activation of his ruach. There is just compulsion, like a robot. Give 10%, okay, and just give 10%. Verse 22.
And they came, both men and women. Yeah, somebody bandwidth is low. Can't see again, brother. See?
You can't see it.
Side? Yeah, everything go foggy.
All right, let me do it in the meantime.
Okay.
Tell me when it comes.
It comes back.
All right, go ahead.
That was 23?
22.
Okay. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold, and every man that offered an offering of gold unto Yahuwah.
All right. As many as were willing-hearted. And we know those who were not willing-hearted are not going to receive any barakah. They're not going to be blessed, as they say, from this. As many as were willing-hearted. Verse 23.
And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and red skins of ram and beggar's skin brought them, and red skins of rams and beggar's skirts brought them. Continue.
Yeah.
Everyone that did offer an offering of silver and brass brought Yahuwah's offering, and every man with whom was found shittim wood for any work of the service brought it.
Mm-hmm.
And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hand, and brought that which they had spun, both of blue and of purple, and of scarlet and of fine linen.
All right, let's notice. Anytime people are wise-hearted, they can use their hands. The world has twisted it and make us believe that those are wise-hearted are those who sit in schools and can recite what the school taught them. All right? Just as a side note for us to see how all these people have twisted the world. All right? Continue.
And all the women whose hearts stirred them up in wisdom spun
in
goats.
What?
Wisdom.
Anytime I see this, I have to pay attention because of how these people have twisted it. Here in Jamaica, the school is a primary thing. And if you have failed in school, then they tell you to go learn to use your hands. It's the other way around. Wise-hearted use their hands. Continue.
And the rulers brought onyx stones, and stone to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate, and spice and oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense.
29.
The children of Israel brought a willing offering unto Yahuwah, every man and woman whose heart made them willing to bring for all manner of work, which Yahuwah had commanded to be made by the hand of Moses.
All right. This is the free will offering. And this is the offering that people must bring to the work of Yahuwah. To the work of Yahuwah. Free will offering. And this is the offering that pervades the New Testament offering. Whatever you're offering in the New Testament, offer according to how your heart is stirred. If your heart is of stone, your heart will not be stirred, and you will not make an offering. If your heart is stirred, then you will give an offering. So the offering in the New Testament is actually a manifestation of the state of your heart. It shows where you are in the word. Because remember, the New Testament is a time when if you do not deny yourself and you are not willing to forsake all that you have, you cannot be the disciple of the Messiah. He said it in Luke 21. He said, any man who is not willing to forsake all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. So if you are not willing, if you have a materialism and you're not willing to forsake it and give willingly out of your heart, then it shows your heart that you actually are not ready. That's how it is. All right. So if I am more concerned about preserving my lot, it means that I am just not ready. Leviticus 22:17-22. Go ahead, please.
Speak unto Aaron, saying, whosoever
hold on. No, this is the wrong one. The second one, wrong one I had.
It should be 22.
17-20.
22,
Yeah, because, let me see. Leviticus 22. Oh, this is 21.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron, and to his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, whatsoever he be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel, that will offer his oblation for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer unto Yahuwah for a burnt offering. Ye shall offer at your own will a male without blemish, of the beeves, of the sheep, or of the goats. But whatsoever hath a blemish, that shall he not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you.
Okay, so when you're making your free will offerings, or even your vow, it must not have any blemish, which means it has to be of your best. You have to go back to Cain and Abel. The Most High accepted that from Abel that was without blemish. So that is what you give freely out of the goodness of your heart, not grudgingly, and it does not come from a corrupt source. Okay? Verse 21.
21. That's good there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see it?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Whosoever offered a sacrifice of peace offering unto Yahuwah to accomplish his vow, or a freewill offering in beeves or sheep, it shall be perfected. It shall be perfect.
No.
It shall be perfect to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein.
All right. It shall be perfect. The peace offering must be perfect before Yahuwah. And remember, peace offering include the fellowship meal, breaking of bread. Any such offering, it must have no blemish. 22.
Blind or broken or maimed or having a wen or scurvy or scab, ye shall not offer thee unto Yahuwah, nor make an offering by fire of them upon the altar unto Yahuwah.
All right, so must not have any blemish at all. Whatever offerings, free will offerings, it must not have any blemish. Now, Nehemiah 7:70-72, we just want to show that the offerings also included money.
Before we go there, bro, can I just share what happened last week with was God? When I see this verse.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, we just read about how perfect it should be. It should not be blind or broken or maimed, having a wen or scurvy or scab. When we were looking for the goat for a Passover, we were looking all over the place, and we found this place that had two rams. They were both eight months old. So I felt so happy. And it was me and Brother Yehuda. And when I realized that we find the goat, I was going to make a phone call to Brother C and say, hey, I found the goat. And Yehuda said, no, man, don't call us yet. Let's get the goat first. Let's catch him first. Don't be too excited. Anyway, we went there and the guy catch the goat. And Yehuda realized that there's a cut, like it was bleeding right below the horn. And he said, man, this is blemish, we can't use it. And we said, we call Brother C, and he said, man, it's a small cut. Said, and I said, she have one more, so let's go and try to catch that the other one. So we let that first round go, and we catch the second round that was for sale. And guess what? In the same area, the exact same area, I don't remember if it was the same side as in left and right, the very same area, there was bleeding. Mm-hmm. And the guy said to us, sometimes they fight. So it looks like they buck each other. I said, man, this is still blemish. So we could not get any of those rams. So yeah. I recall Brother C said, man, but Yahuwah going to provide something. And we keep on looking, we went to about 2 or 3 more places. Then we resort to a place about maybe a next hour away or close to an hour, and we find a goat that was perfect. No cut, no bruise of our knowledge. So it is showing to us that it is so precise. The scripture says no blindness, no broken, no maimed, nothing. It should be the best of the best.
Yes.
So just want to share this that we came into last week. It is right in line with the scripture.
Yes. And it also shows up, bro, the fact that when you don't have a living goat and you buy from the butcher, because some of us, because we're in captivity, we don't have a goat of our own. It might be 1 family, 2 family. Some people end up buying goats, but it shows that it could be those goats that they killed, those maimed goats. And we're eating the maimed goats for the Passover, not knowing that they were maimed. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the butcher being out there in the world, don't care about the Most High. He will not let go of the word. Hey, I can use it. He is happy for it.
Yes. Indeed. All right. The book of Nehemiah. Where is it? 7, verse 70. We're going to show that the free will offerings is also money. Verse 7-70.
And some of the chief of the father gave unto the work the Tirshatha, gave to the treasure 1,000 drams of gold, 50 basins, 530 priest garments. And some of the chief of the fathers gave to the treasures of the work 20,000 drams of gold and 2,200 pounds of silver. And that which the rest of the people gave was 20,000 drams of gold and 2,000 pounds of silver and 7 priest garments. So the priests,
All right, let me put it on. All right, so let me just a different translation. The drams, gold drachmas, these were Greek coins, and silver minas were coins as well. So the people actually gave money as free will offerings. That's a precedent that we want to establish, because some people might think, oh, the Old Testament, it was only, what do you call it? It was only material things, all right, like animals, etc. No, it was also money. All right, let's just give a few more examples of New Testament free will offering. Because remember, our title is New Testament offering. Luke 6:38. We just want to narrow down how we give in the New Testament, because the time is drawing nigh. We have to know and understand everything that we can. Read, please.
Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that he meets, withal it shall be measured to you again.
This is free will offering, not by necessity, but the same measure that you meet, the same amount that you give out, it's going to be measured back to you again. And of course, Most High is going to multiply it. Just want to lay the foundation. New Testament giving, it is free will. Free will, not by compulsion. 2 Corinthians 8, 1-15. Yes. Go ahead, please.
Moreover, brethren, we do you to wit of the grace of allure bestowed on the assembly of Macedonia, how that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberality.
So these people were not rich, they were poor. And yet still, they gave liberally. Continue.
For to their power I bear record, yea, and beyond their power they were willing of themselves. Praying, continue.
Yeah, man.
Praying us with much entreaty that we would receive the gift and take upon us the fellowship of the ministering of the saints. And this they did, not as we hoped, but first gave their own selves to Yahuwah and unto us by the will of Allah. Insomuch that we desire Titus, that as he had begun, so he would also finish in you the same grace also. Therefore, as ye abound in everything, in faith and utterance and knowledge, and in all diligence, and in your love to us, see that he abound in this grace also. I speak not by commandment, but by occasion of the forwardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love. For ye know the grace of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, that he through his poverty might be rich. And therein I gave my advice for this is expedient for you, who have begun before, and not only to do, but also to be forward a year ago. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which ye have.
All right. So there was a readiness to will. So there may be a performance also out of that which you have. Verse 12.
For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he had not.
As long as you have a willing mind and you give freely, it is accepted. 13.
For I mean not that other men be eased and be burdened, but by the equality, that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, that their abundance also may be a supply for your want, that there may be equality.
All right, so giving to one another. I give you now when I have want. You give me when you have abundance. Verse 15.
As it is written, he that had gathered much had nothing over, and he that had gathered little had no lack.
So that there's a balance in the assembly, balance among the believers when believers help one another. This is the whole idea of the New Testament assembly. And this is what is lacking in the modern church. Totally lacking equality. So giving liberally and with equality. 1 Timothy 6, 17 to 19. Read, please.
Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living alone, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. That they do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate.
All right. So this is for those people who are comfortable. Do good, rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate. We're going to look at this word, distribute. Willing to communicate. Verse 19.
Laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the times to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life.
So the rich people, it's not impossible for them to enter the kingdom. It's just that they do not trust in their riches and they be liberal, freely distribute that which they have. Meaning of distribute is from the Greek eumetadotos. It is good at imparting. That is liberal, ready to distribute, ready to give. And we know communicate means ready to give your contribution to distribute what you have to others. All right? So in the New Testament, in the Old Testament, when it says give unto Yahuwah, giving unto Yahuwah means giving unto the temple and giving unto his priests. We are going to look now at what it means to give unto Yahuwah in the new covenant in terms of giving to those who labor in the word. Okay? Because in the new covenant, giving is a necessary part of our lives. Giving unto the work of Yahuwah, giving unto the saints of Yahuwah, giving unto the poor saints of Yahuwah, and of course, the perennial giving unto the poor. So our lives, whole lives should be a life of giving. All right, so let's look at giving to those who labor in the word. 1 Timothy 5:17-18. Read, please.
Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine.
Yeah, continue.
For the scripture says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward.
Okay, so these verses now tell you that the elders that rule well, worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. Now, the word honor there, if you look at it, you might think that it is, where is it? The word honor. I thought, I didn't put up the thing for honor. Let's look at the meaning of honor from here. We can do it from here. 17. No. All right, honor. Honor is from the Greek time, which means a value, that is money paid, or concretely and collectively valuables, by analogy, esteem, especially at the highest degree, or the dignity itself, honor, precious price, sum. So the honor can mean esteem, it can mean valuables, it can mean money, and it can mean dignity. So those who, let me get there, labor in the word. And these words are hidden. But I wonder if many of the preachers preach these things. So the words are hidden so that they would not be exploited, because people would exploit these things when it comes to giving. All right, I think they use this one as well. So you must not muzzle the ox that treadeth the corn. So someone who's working and laboring in the word, you cannot withhold honor from them. They are worthy of double honor. All right. Oh, this, I see why I did this twice. Okay, no. Where is that? No. Yeah, I am missing out a whole lot of scriptures here. A whole lot of scriptures that I missed out. Let me see if I can find them. Coming up, I realize I never included something here, because these are very important scriptures. All right, anything you have to say, Brother Mahar, in the time being while I look up this thing?
Right. So sometimes we been through the scriptures and we think that we cover every area, but our lifestyle is not matching up with the scriptures. That is why it is necessary for us to go back to the word every now and then, relearning, because we were taught some things that was error. And we are to be willing to drop those off and start all over again, seeking Yahweh for insight. Even going to fasting and prayer for us to understand that which we are reading. Because as we are told that there are some things that are hidden, it takes the Ruach HaKodesh to unveil those truths to us. So let's not allow anyone to deceive us again, because we were deceived. So the time is going to come when we cannot say, hey, the serpent deceived me. Because the scripture says to us, let no man deceive you. Not even our own self should deceive us. Because, we can deceive ourselves. And we cannot use those as an excuse. So it is also very important for us to understand when it comes to giving. It is a good thing to give because the Most High of his people all over who are praying to him for needs. And, you know, I don't see him dropping stuff from heaven on earth to respond to those who are seeking him. He uses us, the people, to do that which he will in us to do, to give. Let's not sit down and say, hey, somebody is in need, and we're going to pray and say, Father, help him, touch his belly that he may be filled. Do something. It requires action. Dip in your pocket. Buy him some food or something. If he's naked, you have 3 shirts, give him one of your shirts. This is how we do the will of the Most High. So when we do this, we are doing our lending back to Yahuwah. If we do this, we are just depositing in heaven. Just like we go to the bank and deposit money, the time comes when we are in need, we get to our card and we go and withdraw that which we deposit. The very same thing here. When we give to the poor, we lend to Yahuwah. So let's not do it grudgingly. Let's do it with a cheerful heart. Let's put ourselves out there that we may be seen for who Yahuwah is. Love, kindness. Don't hide away so that no one will see you and may ask you for a bread so that you can say, no, I don't want to give you a bread. Go out there with a willing heart for the opportunity to give something that day, to even give a good advice on that day. All right? So let us continue to be edified by that which the Most High is saying to us today. If we hear his voice, let us not harden our heart, continuing doing our own thing, because we cannot do our own thing. We cannot live as we like. It has to be in the same accord, in the same order of how the Most High made us. All right? So while Brother C is still being prepared, I don't know if Brother Samuel have anything you want to say on this topic while Brother C is still getting ready. Brother Shamwa.
Yes, brother. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, family.
Hello.
This is very detailed as well. And I'm not surprised that brother C is led to speak about this, to teach on this, because I think just a few days ago, I actually the Most High led me to do a teaching on this, on a topic called the most sacred and the most holiest law. Very important. It adds more depth also to what Brother Kazak is saying here. That we are saved, right, into a family, and we need to start thinking as soul. We need to start living as soul, loving each other, neighbor. Putting your neighbor in thought, in consideration, in everything we do, both both in the physical duties such as bestowing blessings on them, like money, like many other things. Everything that you have, you should be able to share, or you should be willing to share. And it goes into the law of consecration, which has to do with exactly what the book of Acts speaks about in terms of what the ecclesia was doing when they had everything in common. That is exactly the ultimate goal of Yahuwah, because the word says that it is only through this sacred and holiest law that the entire Shamayim, the entire heavens, are held together. This is the law that holds the entire kingdom together, which is the law of sharing. And with this law, there is no poverty amongst us. There is no poor, and neither is there rich. Everyone is equally okay, equally has enough to share. And that is where we currently are in a place of selflessness, utmost selflessness. Now, in order to be able to do this, we need to be able to honestly, I still think that many still don't understand what denying self means, and we need to help people to really understand what this denying self means, because it spans across every facets of our life, every area. The Most High is checking to see if we are still holding on to this earth, holding on to this world. And when you say this, many will say you are trying to teach people to how do I call it, to uplift and uphold poverty. I'm sure there's many people that think that way, that says, no, you guys are propagating, or you guys are pushing the agenda of poverty, and hailing what poverty is, and making sure people live in a depraved and in a very saddened state when you talk about denying self. But I'm telling you, this world cannot be better if we all don't seek to put others before us, to put the needs of others before us, to be able to dwell, to be obedient to the word of the Most High. And this topic is so important. That's why I just even don't have the right words to be able to cement this so in depth. But this is so important, because in the book of the sealed portion is there. It's in the sealed portion. I'm not sure of the scripture, but it's there, and it's so emphatically and boldly written there of how we ought to support the things of the Most High, to help the needy, to extend ourselves, to have the will, the mindset of the Father in us. In whatever we do, that we go about thinking of the needs of the people around us. Because one day Yahweh is going to ask you, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I had no clothes, did you clothe me? When I was sick, did you visit me? These are things that people that are set apart do all the time, because they think about it. So if you go to the sealed portion, chapter 11, verse 65, you will see it there. It's written very clearly. You cannot miss it. And it's so clearly stated, and it's only for those that are in the way, those that are really, really believers and follow every word that Yahweh has given unto us. Not those that are taking chances by making themselves believe they are really in the way, whereas they are not. Their heart is far away. So I will leave it on this one. Let us seek out to be able to extend ourselves in every way possible to do the things of the Most High. Shalom.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Brother Shamuel. Thank you, Brother Mahar. All right, got cut off. All right, so let's go to Galatians 6, verse 2. Read, please.
Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Mashiach.
This was what Shamuel was just talking about, right? Bearing one another's burden. Verse 3.
For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden.
All right, so we must bear one another's burden. But every man shall bear his own burden when it is time to be judged. So if we do not want to be judged, we bear one another's burden. To be judged negatively, we bear one another's burden. Verse 6.
Scroll back down a little bit to where it says, bear one another's burden. So if while we are here, living here now, if we bear one another's burden and so fulfill the law of Mashiach, so in this case, it would be two or even more than two people burden you're going to bear. So when it comes to the time to bear your own burden, it should not be so hard, because you're used to bearing two or three other person's burden. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're in practice to bear your own burden at that time. I'm just saying.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right. Verse 6.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things.
All right. So this is another thing now. Those people who teach the word. Those who are taught in the word must communicate, which we know what communicate means. Do we have it? Yeah, communicate, which is to give unto those who teach in the word. These are scriptures that are there. But as one who teaches the word, I don't want to put it up to make people think.
That is taught in the word.
Yeah.
Unto him that teacheth in all good things.
Is that a recording?
I think no, those people who teach the word.
Oh.
Those who are taught in the word must communicate.
What's that?
Miss Nora, please mute your mic.
What communicate means.
You can.
Yeah, communicate. Which is to
mute. Yeah. All right. All right. So we're saying that I was saying that as one who teaches the word, I really don't like to say this but it has to be said. The word has to come out, and that's what it is. Those persons who teach, those who are taught, must give unto them in all good things, it says. Verse 7.
Be not deceived, Allah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
All right. Whatever you sow. So this again is free will offering. Whatever you sow, that is what you shall reap. Verse 8.
For he that soweth to his flesh shall of his flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Ruach shall of the Ruach reap life everlasting.
All right, sowing to the flesh. What do we mean sowing to the flesh? It would mean if I have material things and I use it to, what should I say now? To add to my comfort and not sow to the things of Yahuwah. Not sow to the work of Yahuwah, not sow to the poor, not sow to the oppressed, not sow to those who are trampled, unfortunate, not sow to the saints. Yes, but you sow to your own comfort. That is sowing to your flesh. It says, after the flesh shall reap corruption. But when you sow to the Ruach, you shall reap life everlasting. Verse 9.
And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not.
Well-doing. Content. Verse 10.
As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
All right, so the people in this assembly come first. Your brothers and sisters, the saints, come first. But we are to do good to all men when the opportunity presents itself. Do good unto all men. All right? So that's one. Philippians 4:10-19. Another one. Read, please.
But I rejoice in Yahuwah greatly, that now at the last your care of me had flourished again, wherein he were also careful, but he lacked opportunity.
All right, so the Philippians here are getting opportunity to assist the apostle Shaul. Verse 11.
Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content.
All right, so this is now, this is how leaders should be. This is how leaders should be. And this is how your friendly neighborhood pastor, the average pastor, is not. We must learn to be content in whatsoever state we are in. Nobody gives us anything. We have to learn to be content. Because that's how the Most High will work it, you know. The Most High will work it as part of our progression, as part of our chastening, as a part of our learning, at times there will be nothing. And what do we do when there is nothing? Do we break our emunah, our trust, our belief, and go out hunting, and go out begging, or go out coercing? Or do we just learn to be content in wherever we are? Because if we cannot be content with being down the bottom or having nothing, then it means we have not denied self. If I am never ever in want, how can I deny self if I'm never ever in want? Yes? So we have to learn to be content in wherever we are. Verse 12.
I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things, I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need.
All right, this is very important. Know how to be abased and I know how to abound. So you have to know how to be abound so that when the Most High throws his prosperity on you, then how will you manage it? Can you handle it? Will you get carried away and start loving the riches? Yes? So it's very important that we know how to be abased and how to abound. All right. Verse 13.
I can do all things through a Mashiach, which strengtheneth me.
And this is a famous line. Very, very famous line right here. But it's actually saying that you can do all things, meaning even when you're down, nothing is impossible, because when you're down, he will strengthen you. So you can do everything. Nothing is impossible for you, or no situation is impossible for you to manage. 14.
Notwithstanding, he have well done, that he did communicate with my affliction.
All right, so the assembly of Philippians helped him with his affliction. Verse 15.
Know ye Philippians, know also that in the beginning of the gospel, when I departed from Macedonia, no assembly communicated with me as concerning giving and receiving, but ye only.
All right, so it's commending Philippians for their giving. Verse 16.
For even in Thessalonica he sent once and again unto my necessity.
17.
Not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your account.
All right, so this is Shaul speaking. And this is how we have to look on it. It's not because we want anything from you, but it's because we want you to do what is necessary to lay up treasures in heaven. That's it. We want you to lay up treasures in heaven because we know how to be abased. We know how to make do with nothing. So it's nothing if we have nothing. But we are happy that you give so that you can be Barak. Verse 18.
Before we go to verse 18, we see that was a very wise thing and the right thing that Shaul did or allowed. Because I don't know if it is pride, but sometimes, people today's day, someone will come and say, or give them something or offer something, and for some reason they say, no, I don't want it. Okay, are you sure? No, keep it. No, you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
Let's go back to what the apostle did. It is wise to accept it because you're also helping them. Don't turn away them from being Barak by Yahuwah. They're doing the right thing.
Yes. Yep, that's it. So where are we again? Yeah. Verse 18.
But I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, and an odor of sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to Allure. But my Allure shall supply all your need according to his riches in splendor by a Mashiach, Yahusha. Now unto Allure and our Father, be splendor forever and ever, so let it be.
All right, so he says he has all and abound, but he gives thanks to the sacrifice, which is well-pleasing and acceptable. And again, we see here so that this is free will offering. Once again, free will offering. And Luke 10:7 tells us how believers are to actually help and care for one another. Just one verse. When he sent out his disciples, he gave them instructions. Verse 7, read please.
And in the same house remain, eating and drinking such thing as they give. For the laborer is worthy, For the laborer is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house.
He was telling them that when they go anywhere to speak the word, and they must go to whichever house accepts them. Again, we said back in those days, people house strangers. Strangers are passing by. They didn't have anywhere to stay. Then these people would accept them in their houses as a mark of righteousness. And that we say is sadly missing from our lives today. All right. All right, so tomorrow is a feast of first fruits. So we're gonna look a little at first fruits. The feast of first fruits. Exodus 23:19. All right, the Feast of First Fruits was essentially the Feast of First Fruits was essentially the first fruits of the land. Let me speak a little bit about. There is a corruption, yeah. There is a corruption that comes, and we're gonna show it at the end, with mankind changing the order of the society, because we know man created the industrial age, the whatever age, different ages. The Most High created us to be husbandmen, to deal with plants and animals. If you notice, the Bible is really strictly about plants and animals. Plants and animals. That's what it's about. Farming. And everything is based on farming. The calendar. Everything is based on farming. But men have changed it and changed the order. So first fruits is based on farming. It is based on the first fruits of the land. And the first fruits there would be the beginning of the crop. The first edible part of the crop when the harvest just begins. So it is kind of difficult to reconcile first fruits to the lives that we have today. How do you reconcile the beginning of your crop with someone, for example, who works the most popular occupation, who works in the health field? Someone who works in the health field, how do you reconcile the feast of first fruits with that? Well, where are the crops? Where are the first fruits? Yes? So we know that when the Messiah returns, I believe that we're going to go right back to husbandry, because in the promises, the Most High said, he spoke about how the earth will yield its fruits, and it's still same thing based on agriculture. All right. So just want to give a foundation of the first fruits. It's based on agriculture, and because of the world that we have now, it's kind of difficult to reconcile it. Exodus 23:19. Just want to give an idea of the first fruits. Read, please.
The first of the first fruits of thy land, thou shalt bring into the house of Yahuwah, thy Aluah. Thou shalt not sit a kid in his mother's milk.
All right, this I think should be in a different verse. But anyway, the first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of Yahuwah thy Aluah. So first fruits is primarily an offering unto the Most High. A free offering unto the Most High. Leviticus 23:9-14.
Well, you're going for it, brother C. So let's say I plant some pumpkin, all right? And
Yeah.
it so happened that tomorrow I might go in the field and see that the pumpkin are now at its perfection or at its eating point. The very first one
Yes.
I pick should be the one I give, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So back in those days now, if you're in Israel, the children of Israel would pick that and present it to the priest on the day of first fruits. Verse 9, Leviticus 23.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When he be come into the land which I gave unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then he shall bring a sheaf of the first fruit of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
All right. So here it is. Before we go any further, it says, when ye be come into the land. All right. So some people say, well, we are not in the land. But we have to look at the part that tells us whether or not it is a temporary thing. Because if we are in captivity and we turn to him, we have to now obey all his commandments as much as we can. So let's continue. Where are you?
I think we're at 12 now.
Yeah.
And he shall offer that day when he wave the sheep and when he wave the sheep and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour, mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin.
All right. So remember, we said the burnt offering can also be an offering unto Yahuwah as well as a sin offering. This is a free will offering, burnt offering. Verse 14 now.
And he shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ear, until the selfsame day that he have brought an offering unto your Aluah. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
So there it is. It is forever. So whether we are in the land or not, we are to keep it. And it says, you shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the same day that you have brought an offering unto your Aluah. So this day, first fruits first before anything else. So that is why in the temple it was done in the mornings in the temple. All right. Proverbs 3:9-10. And the first fruits is very important. Very, very important. Read, please.
Honor Yahuwah with thy substance, and with the first fruit of all thine increase.
Of all thine increase. So first fruits is not only for the day. The principle of first fruits is for all our entire lives. We're going to see that the first fruits was brought to the temple, but when there is no temple, the first fruits can be shared. Without a temple, first fruits can be shared. 2 Kings, what was that? 4:42 to 44. 2 Kings 4:42 to 44. Read, please.
And there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and brought the man of Aloah bread of the first fruit, 20 loaves of barley, and full ear of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, Give unto the people that they may eat. And his servitor said, What should I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people that they may eat, for thus saith Yahuwah, they shall eat and shall live thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof according to the word of Yahuwah.
All right, let this servitor here. I didn't even look at that word. Servitor, sharat, a menial, to attend, minister. Oh, someone who came serve. Oh, that's someone who came with him. Said this. All right, this account here. The man brought this to the man of Alua, I think, is Elisha. And the man brought his first fruit and told them to share it up among the people. Now, this was the prelude to the, what you call it now, feeding the 5,000 and feeding the 4,000. And the man said, Give the people that they may eat, for thus saith Yahuwah, they shall eat and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof. Same with the 5,000, feeding of the 5,000, when they collected how many baskets after. But the important thing about this is the first fruits here was shared among other people because it was not offered in the temple. All right. So sharing our first fruits here, we get an idea from the testament of Issachar. All right. How much time gone? Because we are almost done. Good. We're almost finished. Okay. All right. So we looked at the testament of Issachar the other day, and we're going to look at the sharing the first fruits. Chapter 1, verse 6. You can read it, please, Bahar.
Yes. And my father always rejoiced in my rectitude, because I offer through the priests to Yahuwah all first fruits, then to my father also. And Yahuwah.
All right, hold on. So he offered to the priest, through the priest to Yahuwah, all his first fruits, then to my father also. And we're going to see it continue. Continue.
And Yahuwah increased 10,000-fold his benefits in my hands. And also Jacob, my father, knew that Aluah aided my singleness, for on all poor and oppressed I bestowed the good things of the earth in the singleness of my heart. So Issachar distributed willingly to the poor and oppressed, and the Most High, he said 10,000-fold the Most High multiplied his benefits because of how he lived. So for the first fruits, very, very important for us in our giving and how the Most High will recompense unto us. It is a feast that is much ignored and much misunderstood, but it is there for our benefit. Honor
the Most High with our increase. Now, as we were saying earlier, that first fruits is really about husbandry. It's about giving our first fruits from our produce. But mankind has changed it and corrupted it and given us their Babylonian system, where now we are involved in all sorts of wicked occupations, wicked devices. Testament of Issachar, chapter 2, verse 3. Read, please.
Bow down your back unto husbandry.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I forgot to qualify to give the meaning of husbandry. Husbandry refers to the tending of plants and animals, what we would call agriculture. All right? So it includes both plants and animals. All right, start at verse 3 again, please.
Bow down your back unto husbandry, and toil in labor in all manner of husbands. Offering gift to Yahuwah with thanksgiving.
All right, so this is what the scriptures was made for. We toil in the land and offer gifts from the land to Yahuwah, walk in righteousness, and Yahuwah recompenses us with barakah according to his mercy and his favor. So remember, as Brother Mahar had pointed out the other day, that he said to Adam that is our sentence. Sweat of your forehead you shall eat bread. That is what we were called to do. But mankind has created many wicked inventions and many wicked evil occupations and has strayed away from this. And we are saying that as believers, we must know that the only way we can walk in righteousness, and this is what we have seen in our time here at Just a Word, the only way you can walk in righteousness if you go back to the old path, which is the good way, which is growing your own food. Husbandry. And we see the way the world is going. The world is going towards, let me get my ugly face in. Yeah. The world is going towards a very serious juncture. Every indication is that there is going to be a serious famine, not only famine, but serious inflation. It's going to be very hard for us to eat, for us to find food. If you live in the cities and depend on the system, it's going to be very hard. Very, very hard. And so righteousness, when we can comfortably get food and operate in the same mode, righteousness is easier. But when it gets extremely difficult and we have all sorts of problems in acquiring food, etc., then it's going to be harder to live in righteousness. Husbandry right now is the only way we can overcome what is coming, what we see is coming. That war that they have there, oil, we hear that China has bought up all the grain, and we live in a world dependent almost totally on flour, especially in this side of the world. You just want to go in the supermarkets to find something to eat, and almost everything that you can get off the shelf to eat is made with flour. Grain, it's got to be a problem. Flour, etc. Gas is going to be a problem. And we know they are setting up their fourth industrial revolution. And we know they want the great reset of the economies of the world. So we know what they want to do with the economies. So what are we saying here? Husbandry. And if you take anything from this today, husbandry is the best way. We're telling you. And that is what we have seen, and that is what the Most High is showing us. All right? Let's go again. Where are we? Verse 4? Yeah?
Yeah. Ready?
Oh. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
For with the first fruit of the earth will Yahuwah barak you, even as he baraka all the saints, for able even until now. For no other portion is given to you than of the fatness of the earth.
You see that?
Fruit, yeah.
Hold on. No other portion is given to you than the fatness of the earth. That's why we say husbandry is it. It is husbandry that is the way forward. That's the way out. Most High told us to flee from the midst of Babylon, especially when we see the abomination of desolation. Flee from the midst of Babylon. Husbandry is the way to go. Read for no other portion is given to you from there, please.
For no other portion is given to you than of the fatness of the earth, whose fruit are raised by toil. For our father Jacob barak me with baraka of the earth and of first fruits.
All right. So even Jacob, Barak Issachar, his son, with first fruits. So we say first fruits is for Yahuwah, and it is for others as well. So this is important of husbandry. Now, without husbandry, let's see what Issachar says will happen without husbandry. If we don't farm the food and the thing, let me tell you something. Even in us again with the Passover, at the time of the Passover, we were seeking out a ram for quite a few days, and we found that it was almost impossible. I said it's almost impossible. We couldn't even get a ram of 1 year old, because the Gentile feast of Christianity of Christmas, at the Gentile feast of Christmas, one of the delicacies is curried goat meat, curried mutton. And so over the December, almost all the goats are consumed. So we now at this time found it very, very, very difficult to get a ram. Very, very difficult. And we realized that had we been doing our husbandry, we would have had the goat put down and we could go in the flock and take out the goat. Simply, we could have it and nourish it and have it ready for the Passover. All right? Husbandry, without husbandry, we are in problem. Where are we? Without husbandry, yeah. Without husbandry, men will follow after their own wicked devices. Let me tell you, almost all the occupations nowadays are wicked devices. That's what he's actually saying, that if you don't do husbandry, everything else you have will be wicked. And if you look at it technically, most occupations you can see are very wicked. Even the ones that are, for example, to save lives. You're working in the medical field. You can say, oh, I'm working to save lives. Oh, but you're working in a field where you're distributing all sorts of poison and all sorts of sorcery inside of people. Yeah? You're working in the bank. You're working for a company that's robbing people and exacting interest on people and have no regard whatsoever for the laws of the Most High. You're working in a supermarket. Yeah, you're distributing things, but you're also selling food that is polluted and poisoned by the wicked. When you're working in husbandry, then all you do, you grow the food, you eat the food. That's it. All right? So, wicked devices. Read Testament of Issachar 2, verse 6, please.
I know ye therefore, my children, that in the last time your sons will forsake singleness, and will cleave unto insatiable desire, and leaving guilelessness will draw near to malice.
Guilelessness.
your guilelessness will draw near to malice, and forsaking the commandments of Yahuwah. They will cleave unto Beliar, and leaving husbandry, they will follow after their own wicked devices, and they shall be dispersed among the Gentiles, and shall serve their enemies.
What he's actually saying here, this is talking about the end time. This is what our people did. Follow wicked devices. This is what our people did, departed from the way and follow after the wicked devices of the enemy. And that was what helped us to be scattered into captivity. And we are here serving our enemies, going to our enemies' school, learning our enemies' education, and then getting jobs from our enemies. Then our enemies hit us with their high light water bills and light bills and taxes. And then they poison us with their food to get us sick. And all the money that we save goes right back in our health. And we end up in the end dying with little or nothing. Throughout our lives, we strive to acquire homes. We acquire homes for which we are paying mortgages, for which we almost never stop paying for them. So we have things that we don't actually own because we refuse to go back to husbandry. And it says in the last time, and they will cleave to insatiable desire. Insatiable desire is the way of Babylon. Babylon conditions us to never be satisfied. We just keep going after the next shiny object to the next shiny object. Never satisfied. And that pushes us now to live in guile and live in malice, in arguments with people and problems, and forsake the commandments, because in that way now, chasing our insatiable desire, we cannot obey the commandments of Yahuwah. And therefore, who will we cleave to? Beliar, Hasatan, the devil. And we will leave husbandry, go into the cities, and follow after our own wicked devices. Yes? So, oh boy. So as we look about on the Feast of First Fruits, that is what we must take. And we know, oh boy, we know and understand that which is coming and where the Most High is leading us. And where it's leading us, we can only tell you what we advise people to do. All right? This week, we had put out a video on my personal YouTube channel. Its channel is Chazak Eliyahu, CHAZAQ and it's entitled Flee to the Mountains. And it's another insight into when and why we should flee to the mountains as the wicked sets up their fourth industrial revolution, the fourth kingdom of Daniel. Daniel 2 verses about 39 to 43. That's what they're setting up. And nothing but evil is going to come on it. All right? And it's going to get worse. And it's going to get worse. So we can only advise you that which the Most High is showing us. So you can check out that channel, Chazak Eliyahu. It has shorter videos on it. These are long teachings weekly, but we have short videos on it that are easily assimilated, only a few minutes, some of them. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, think about it. Think about fleeing from the midst of Babylon. All right? So, first fruits, this is the time when you give up your first fruits. This is our first teaching publicly here on giving. And yeah, that's the whole idea. We gave all we saw with New Testament giving. All right. So if anyone is interested in giving to us, you can contact us through the message form on the justthewordradio.com website. All right, that's all we do. We'll not publicly ask on the website every day, be asking or soliciting. All right, so this is what I have to say, Brother Mahar Kun or Brother Shamuel. You have anything else to say? And Brother El Pedro. El Pedro always leaves quickly. El Pedro, you first.
Yeah, let El Pedro first take this one.
El Pedro.
Yeah, I love the ambush.
Yeah, before you escape.
You love the ambush. Nah, shalom, everyone. Just to be say that I'm very grateful for this teaching because it really enlightened us. For so many people that have come into the truth, they've can you hear me though?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, okay.
Yes.
For so many people that have come into the truth, they've sort of relieved themselves from giving. Today in our Shabbat meeting, it was like in the churches, we were burdened by having to give. Every day we go to church, we have to give, we have to tithe, and this is a relief. But actually, this has come in as a greater light for us to learn more about the requirements that Yahuwah has set before his people, that it is very necessary to give and help one another and make sure that those who are needy, those first who are giving the word, they should be provided for. And for this, we are grateful for this teaching, and by it we shall abide. Shalom.
Shalom. Who next? Shamuel or Mahar?
Go ahead, Samuel.
I know, but Mar, you can sum it up. I think I spoke earlier on.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
It is, well, from where I'm seeing it is quite clear. And one thing I want to say is, even if there is someone who joins or who are listening for the very first time, almost 3 hours, you will see that it is very clear that it is 100% better when we go back to husbandry. And what happened is, many of us didn't understand what that word means. So we read over it and keep on reading. But now when we get the understanding of the meaning of husbandry, it will summarize the very same thing that we always think. So for some of us, it is an aha moment when we know the meaning, because the earth is given in the hand of the wicked. The Most High take heaven and give earth to men. And since he gave earth to men, and in Job he says, it is given in the hands of the wicked. And we now see that we as people, we rely on men. We rely on the world system for everything that we need, many of us. So when we see that the time is coming where for many of us there will be a famine, they will have their food like this, saying, you want some? Okay, do this and they get some. Or they do what they want to do with it to have us eat their food. But again, when you look on what was done in those days, they plant. So if we do the same thing, we are going right back to scripture. We plant. When it's time to reap, we reap and eat. So you tell me now, where in that is pointing us to keep on looking to the system. The next great thing about this is, and I'm talking about husbandry, the next great thing, it will show us that we don't need money. The time is coming that when many of us will realize that money will no longer be needed because we go to school for a good job. Get a good job to make good money. You get your money to buy food and clothes and cars and houses and a lot more things. The scripture also says, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added. The next part says that what we need is clothes, all right, and food. So if we find ourselves planting, reap our own food, knowing that our food is authentic because we don't use any chemical, what more do you want? What more do you want? Very simple. You will not be in debt anymore. You know, so the enemy, the world, the God of this world, have blinded the eyes of many that they cannot see this very, very thing that we need to go back to husbandry. Who do you think trick us and hide these things from us? The God of this world, who many are still worshiping. That is why at times it is so difficult when we go and try to preach to them that, hey, this is the way. Yahushua Mashiach is the way. Follow the way. To them we sound like we are crazy. Because the God of this world already conquered their mind. And they are believing the God of this world. So if you can hear my voice today, look deeply. Check for yourselves. Do your own research. And see which is better. To go back to husbandry or to continue relying on this world system, which we know for a fact will be judged not long from now. Let us go back to husbandry. Let us seek to love each other, even through giving. Because we should love Yahuwah or Allah with all our heart, mind, and soul. If we do that, we will give to those who are in need. We will share, we will entertain strangers because we don't know who we might turn our backs on. Let us allow the fruits of the Ruach to dwell within us, that we may walk out the Torah, doing the will of the Most High. Let's not hold on to our jingles or our goal. It must circulate, because in doing so, we are doing the will of the Most High. If it stops on you, you'll receive, and it stops with you. That means somebody decided you might be hungry. And you think that, hey, I have all this money, I have all this food, I have all these clothes. Let it stay for next year. Who told you that next year will come for you? Just release that which you have. Someone will be baruch by what you have, giving thanks and praise to the Most High because you give. So let us go back to the scripture again to understand what the Most High is saying to us today. If we make up in our mind that we are not going to leave the city, it is going to be difficult when the world hold on to what they have and use it to catch us. Many of our people who cannot stand hungry will bow to the God of this world. Let us take away ourselves. Start planting. If you plant and it grows, then you don't have to rely on the world system. How hard is it? Get your seed. Get a piece of land somewhere in the hills there. Dig the hole. Plant something. Pray when you're planting. Speak to your plants. And they will grow. When I look at the awesomeness of planting something and watch them grow and bring forth fruit, mine is like I can't find words to compare with the awesomeness of the Most High. You just put some seed in, and in some time, you're picking breadfruit, you're picking banana. What you plant was something as small as a mustard seed, and it becomes food and fruit for our temple. What do you have to lose? Let me say something to you. You have nothing to lose. Let's go back to husbandry. It is our way out in this wicked world system today. Shalom.
Thank you, bro. Awesome. All right. There was this week, as I said earlier, when I did a video about flee to the mountains, and I sent it through my WhatsApp to a few people. And one of the persons who responded was a Christian, and he gave me a dream. Told me he has been having many dreams about waves, being on the beach and seeing waves. So he told me this one that he had, that he was on the beach, and he saw a huge wave coming. And he said people were riding on the waves. And he said he was also tempted to ride on the waves for the first wave that came in. And right away, that what came to mind was what they call the waves in this CV-19 thing. First wave, second wave. And I told him that the waves refer to this pandemic, and that the people who sought to ride on the waves are those people who wanted to go back to normal and who decided to take that thing in their arm. So when I responded, he didn't reply to me. So about that, he replied about something else. And the second wave, he said he saw a second dream, and that dream was that he was on the beach again. And he said this time the waves are coming hard and fast. And this time there was a huge cliff between the sea and the land. And he had it in his mind that if he could climb this cliff, then he would escape the wave. And right away, I saw it's the same thing that we were saying. Flee to the mountains. Two things about that rock. That rock, of course, is Yahusha HaMashiach. But we are spirit and we are flesh. So that rock is also telling him that he needs to flee from this, flee to the mountains. All right? We can't emphasize it enough that these people are serious about where they are going, and they're not going to stop. They have us in the palm of their hands partially, and they're not going to stop until they get us fully in. All right? They're not going to stop and say, okay, that's it. Let's go back to normal. Their leader said there's no going back to normal. They say it is fiction for us to go back to normal. So we can just encourage you with husbandry and to prepare to get away from this this so-called world. Anyway, so someone have a question. So we are in the middle of unleavened bread, right? So first fruits takes place during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I think there are two first fruits. The Feast of what we call Shavuot is also called first fruits, because that is the first fruit. There are two harvests. There's a barley harvest in the spring, which is now, and then there is the wheat harvest in the fall, which will have Pentecost will be the beginning of the wheat harvest. That also is called first fruits or Pentecost or Shavuot. And I think, yes. And the first fruits of the first harvest, of the barley harvest, that is tomorrow. And let's go to the book of Leviticus to get that. Leviticus 23:11. Let me just get let me get there. Leviticus 23:11. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah. Let me get to verse 10. So it is right after. In Leviticus 23, we have the order of the feast. And on the 15th of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahuwah. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And then we go to the next one is first fruits. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it. So it's the morrow after the Sabbath that is in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and this is the Sabbath, and it is the morrow after today, which is tomorrow. All right? So that is the first fruits of the barley harvest. All right? All right. Any other questions? What is it? Huh? Huh? Okay, that person said, would the offering have been food or money for the teachers? Isn't there a scripture saying the teachers should take no money? No, I don't know about that. Not them not taking money, but here is a point that we made earlier, that the world back then was based, our culture was based on husbandry, and we are now in captivity and they've taken husbandry away. How can you give someone food if you do not grow food? Understand? What you have is the money to buy the food. As was stated in tithing, there is, I wonder if I can find it quickly. And yeah, Deuteronomy 12. Deuteronomy 12. Is it 12? No. No. That's not the one that I want. All right, since it's Deuteronomy 14. Yeah, Deuteronomy 14, 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before Yahuwah thy Elohim in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn and of thy wine and of thine oil and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahuwah thy Elohim always. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose to set his name there, then Yahuwah thy Elohim hath barak thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose, and thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before Yahuwah thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household, and the Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. So the point here we are making that the provision was made if the place is too far for it to be turned into money, so that the person can know when they go there, they can buy whatever they want. So likewise, it is with us today. We are not doing husbandry. Money is a means of acquiring whatever we want. So there is nothing against giving money to the teacher, to the poor man, to your fellow saints, to anyone at all, for them as contribution for them to get what they want. All right? All right. So is there any?
Yes, go to the bottom.
Which one? Can we please review these scriptures, because it seems like Mashiach said we should tithe, but this was prior to his sacrifice and resurrection. Also, the last verse that mentioned tithing was before Levi. Messiah said we should tithe, but this was prior to his sacrifice and resurrection. Yes, he says you tithe cumin, this ye ought to do. All right? So we use precept upon precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little. And he said that because they were in the covenant and tithing was part of his covenant at the time. But in the new covenant, the renewed covenant, there will be no place for tithing because Messiah has offered himself as payment for sin. Okay? As payment for sin. And so he now atones for sin. And so the offerings that we have to give now are all free will offerings. All free will offerings, nothing by compulsion. Okay? So, Matthew 22:23, Luke 11:42, Matthew 7, Matthew 23:23. We told you already the process, the procedure. To go back over these, Matthew 23:23. Matthew 23:23. Yeah. I suspected it was this one. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith, or emunah. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Of course, they should tithe because they were in the Sinaitic covenant, the law covenant, where the tithing was necessary. Now the next verse, Luke 11:42. Luke 11:42. But woe unto you, Pharisees. Oh, yes, it's the same thing. That is the same thing. And Hebrews 7:9-10. No. 9-10. And so I may say so. Levi also received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. So, this verse here, these verses here was speaking about Yahusha after the order of Melchizedek. Now, some people say that Abraham paid to Melchizedek, but what Abraham paid to Melchizedek was not really tithes, regular tithes of his earnings. He paid tithes that came from plunder. All right, so it's completely different. Anyway, so Levi received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham for. It's actually saying that because Abraham paid tithes, Levi paid tithes then when Melchizedek met him. So this does not really, I don't see where this has anything to do with us in the new covenant. I don't see what this has to do with us in the new covenant. All right? So as we told you before, we already told you the precepts that we use, that the new covenant assembly, there was none that lacked. And there is nowhere in the New Testament that told us that people tithed after Ruach HaKadosh was given. No place whatsoever after Ruach HaKadosh was given. Every account is of free will offerings, people giving freely at all times. And we gave several accounts there in the New Testament. It was all freely. If there was tithing, it would have been mentioned. Because the Apostle Shaul would have told them and instructed them, collect the tithes. Give your tithes unto the poor saints. Never, ever any tithes in the new covenant. It's always giving freely of your bounty. Communicate to them. Always. Always. All right? Any more questions? There you go.
So we are in the middle of unleavened bread, right? So first fruits take place during the feast of
Okay, I answered that question already.
the earth is flat.
Somebody asking, do you think the earth is flat? Oh boy, what's the significance of that? Significance of that? I don't see where that comes in right now. All right, we do believe the earth is flat, but we don't understand the significance because some people use that as some people judge people on that. I don't want to hear anything from you. You believe the earth is flat. So I don't know. All right. Anything else? All right. So, all right. Thank you. I don't think there are any more questions. All right. So, all right. So this is Chazak Aliyahu Yasharal here.
I have a question for the elders. The FBI and CIA said their mission was to stop the rise of the Black Messiah. Why do we wait for him to come?
They what? Where is that? Where is that?
Right here.
That's the one? I have a question for the elders. The FBI and CIA said there was mission. Their mission was to stop the rise of the Black Messiah. Why do we wait for him to come back? Ah.
I said I asked this question because I remember that they have all the original scriptures.
Oh. I don't know if the FBI and CIA saying their mission was to stop the rise of the Black Messiah. I don't know about that. So I can't actually, I don't know. Why are we waiting for him to come back? Because there's no one else that can save this world from these people. That is the plain thing. Why do you wait for the Messiah to come back? Because we have a new world order where the entire kings of this earth, all of them have come together in one unity, unified in one. As much as you see them fighting there, don't watch that. They're all unified because they have all signed into the United Nations Agenda 2030, one world order government. They're all united. So who is going to save us from them? There is no one on earth that can save us on them. It has to be someone who the Most High sends. It's a no-brainer. Because that if we are not saved from them, that means every human being in the world will be enslaved. Most of mankind will be decimated because that is their aim. Every human being in this earth will be enslaved, and humanity would be actually almost wiped out because they are going to want everyone, they are going to want to edit the genes of everyone, go into the DNA of everyone and edit it and make us transhuman. We'll no longer be human. Who is going to save the human race? It has to be someone from outside. All of these people are in it together. So that is why we wait for the Black Mashiach, because it is written, and how the scriptures are playing out, it is showing that it is obvious that only someone sent by the Most High can save us from this thing. Anything else? Who? Oh, all right. Somebody else? All right. Thank you very much. All right. So when the person is reading, it cannot stay on the screen because that is a Zoom thing. That is a Zoom thing. All right. Anything else? No. What else? All right. All right. So that should be it. All right. All right. So this is Kazak Aliyahu Yasharal here from Just a Word. on behalf of my co-presenter, Mahar Kuhn Yasharal, Mahar Kuhn Yasharal, we want to thank you for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget my personal channel, Chazak Eliyahu, CHAZAQ ELIYAHU. Please go and subscribe. Please, you'll find some interesting videos there as well. All right. Hope this teaching helped. And until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom. Yeah.